I'll just use myself as an example. At 75, I am going to have a much smaller and much average, much newer properties. Because at that point, it's not about me. It's about setting up my daughter as best I can. Right. So I can guarantee you somewhere between 65 and 75, my portfolio will be positioned. But it's not about net worth, which was the question. It's about age. Earlier in the week on the Daily Financial News, I proposed a question to the audience. And that was basically, is there a number that would cause you to sell all of your real estate? By number, I, of course, mean net worth. You know, what is your equity number? Would you sell all your real estate if you had 3 million in equity, 5 million in equity, 10 million? The responses were very interesting. They ranged from 3 million bucks to 10 million. Many people said, there is no number. I don't want to sell. I live on the cash flow. Some talked about refi until you die. And I just thought I would talk to some of the millionaires in my group and ask, is there a number? Dion, we'll go to you first since you joined first. How you doing, buddy?
Howdy, I'm doing great. I think when I saw you talk about this in your daily update, I sent you a text and I said, I think a missing metric is how much do you have invested? Because if somebody has 3 million or 10 million in net worth, but they invested 3 or 10 million, it's not as important as if they invested 100,000 and all of a sudden have 10 million.
Great point. Yeah. So let's talk about that. So again, let's kind of layer this around. Let's say you had 5 million bucks, just to give a number that we can aim at. Let's say, again, one of the reasons you would have that is you've been in the market for a long time. Let's call it 15 years. And then let's say that you invested personal capital of, again, we'll make it up, 500 grand. So you put in 500. After 15 years, you're sitting on 5 million. And it cash flows. Again, you don't have to sell. It's not like you were betting on appreciation. They cash flow. But yeah, is there a number in that kind of scenario that's like, hey, I'm going to sell it all and put it in treasury bills or something?
So there is, but it's not about net worth. There's a different number.
Okay.
The problem with net worth is it's inversely correlated for me. Meaning, the more value my real estate has, the less likely I would be to sell it, because I believe, and this is, you're the econ guy, but this is my, caveman beliefs. The value of real estate and housing has really not changed in 100 years. What's happened is the dollar's been devalued so much that it takes more dollars to acquire the asset. So there is some supply and demand where it's limited building and everything, but the majority of it is, it's just inflation happens, so it takes more dollars to buy the house. Yeah. So if it was all of a sudden, my net worth right now is 3 million. If it went up to 5 or went up to 10, that means the dollar went down so much that what other asset class am I going to get that performs the same? So yeah, the higher it went, the less likely it is that I sell. Even if it went into the billions, all of a sudden I'd be nope, I'm not losing these things.
Right. No, I think there's a lot of truth in that. Again, inflation's a feature, not a bug. We talk about it all the time. We're trying to get people to understand it. We do track on the 54-year spreadsheet, real versus nominal home prices. Again, one adjusted for inflation, and they are vastly different numbers, right? If you take the nominal number, it's crazy. But if you adjust for inflation, it's basically 1% or 1.1% is the historical average above inflation, kind of to your point. So the answer from you, Dion, is you're not selling.
Not based on net worth, no.
Awesome. How about you, Matt? You've got a slightly bigger portfolio. You also self-manage, so there's obviously headache factors involved there. Is there some number where you're like, you know what? I'm out. Selling it all.
Well, I'm going to steal Dion's answer and give you one. Well, it depends. Okay. And so what I would probably do is I would probably keep some assets, send those out to be managed by somebody else under the threat of death. And then sell off a stack of assets to just create a mound of cash that just sits there. Okay. So that way I kind of get the best of both worlds. One is I still get some cash flow, but I still have, millions of dollars sitting there, kind of at the ready, pay off the house and do whatever else type of stuff.
Yeah. Having thought about this again, I think I posed that on Monday. So I've had a couple of days to think about it. I think I'm with both of you guys. I think, whatever the number is, let's just assume it doubled. It doesn't move the needle. Right. It may, the only thing that as I think about this, because the one thing I didn't say in this, and I had this conversation with Anna Kelly as well, I think, was time. Like, let's back to Dion's example. You have $5 million, you put 50 in, you've been in the game 50 years, but let's say you're 35, right? You started at 20. You've got a long time ahead of you, right? Where fiat currency, to his point, could go to nothing. However, if you're 75, I think it makes sense. And again, you guys know this. I haven't talked about it in a while. My second book, 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires, the one chapter that hit me was the one where the 80-year-old woman was talking about unwinding her portfolio. And one of the comments I still remember, she goes, Michael, have you ever met a 75-year-old who manages the properties well? No.
Right.
So I think the one missing element in this story is age. And, I'll just use myself as an example. At 75, I am going to have a much smaller and much average, much newer properties. Because at that point, it's not about me. It's about setting up my daughter as best I can. Right. So I can guarantee you somewhere between 65 and 75, my portfolio will be positioned. But it's not about net worth, which was the question. It's about age. What do you guys think about? Is there a number where you start? Because we all know that we're going to die. That's not a secret. So is there an age number where you get proactive in managing the portfolio? Matt, you've got younger kids. We'll go to you first.
Yes. I mean, we did. The kids have the week off from Thanksgiving. It's a week off thing now, apparently. Yep. And
in fairness, I think it was a week off for us too. I think.
Well, for us, it was, we got out half a day on Wednesday, so that was what it was like for us. But yeah, so it was great. Like, we spent literally an entire day going to offices, to banks, to meetings, to meeting contractors. Like, my son spent 5 hours with me. He's 6, but he spent 5 hours with me going to these meetings. And so, at 12, he'll be able to run a company better than most people getting out of college, because he actually will have experience. And so I think for me, it is, with having 4 kids, we don't know which of them will take over, if any of them do. So from our perspective, it's really just much more about, hey, there is money to be made. I've taught you how to run a business. Maybe it's real estate. Maybe it's something else. Most business ideas are often the same, and how to run a business. So for us, it's much more, we are going to use this to give our kids experience in how to work with people, how to find solutions, how to be leaders, how to manage a business. We're going to teach them all the principles, life principles, that most kids get out of college having no clue how to do. And so for that, we need some business to at least be there. So for me, the idea always, I might keep it. So I'm in the camp right now, Mike, same as you, which is, maybe I stay 150 or 180 units. Maybe we stay that number, but maybe we go to 300 if it gets really bad with the cash that we have sitting on the sidelines. If it doesn't get really bad and there aren't these massive buying opportunities like in the great financial crisis, like yours and my wish from day one was just, God, let this happen one more time.
One more time.
Just let there be an encore, please. Last time you participated, I really didn't that much. I was still in my hacking phases, and just trying to keep my head above water. And so from that perspective, yeah, I think if it happens one more time, then we both have to make that decision. Do we double? Do we stay the same? Or do we say, let's fortify the empire over the next 3 years, 5 years, making repairs, doing the things that we need to do to make all of these properties really marketable and kind of turnkey. Yeah. So they get that value. So that's what I'll be evaluating. So I don't know what the answer is yet. I know that most importantly, we want our kids to experience what it's like to run a small business.
I like it. How about you, Dion? Your kids are on the opposite side. They are all out in the world as adults. You've obviously told them not to expect anything, but you know internally there will be something. Is there a number you start repositioning? Maybe you do the cash out or you do the seller financing to kind of simplify. What does it look like for you in a decade, 2 decades? Back to the earlier comment about age being the number.
So I've already got my exit strategy planned, right? And I agree. My kids are on the other side. They weren't young enough for me to raise with the mindset of having, rentals.
Mm-hmm.
They were 10 plus ish when I started investing. So the first rental came when they were kind of developed, and they have no interest. So last night during my course call, I went through this exercise with everybody to get people thinking about what's the end going to look like. And there were some pretty creative things. There were people who, I'll go to the 4% rule. I will do this. And so the thing for me was I don't have another asset class that I believe in, like real estate. And I mean, this kind of, I think, shocked a couple people. To me, stocks aren't real. I've never done transactions in stocks to think that they're real. So when it comes to the value of your properties and an amount of money that you would invest, first I had to go through what net worth is. And a lot of people, not in the course, but a lot of people that I interact with outside of YouTube have no clue. They'll say this, they'll say assets minus liabilities. And I'll go, great. Okay, so if you have stocks and you do the assets minus liabilities, what about that transaction cost? It's going to cost you to offload them. And then what about taxes, right? Have you owned them less than a year, more than a year? And in real estate, you've got the cost of selling. What about if there's concessions with the buyers? What if there's depreciation recapture? So your net worth can quickly change from whatever number you think it is when it's assets minus liabilities. And so that every single person in the course and every one of the millionaires I've heard talk so far have missed the one thing that would make me sell. So the exit strategy is planned. I was 50 when I met Millennial Mike, who was 30. And I thought this will make him 50 when I'm 70. So I cheated the universe and I tried to become friends with him at whatever cost it took. I just like him. So we became friends. So when I'm 70, he'll be 50. I'll sell one, pay off whatever remaining tiny debt there is on like 10 years left of mortgages on the ones that I've already acquired, and pay off all the debt, wrap it up into a seller finance bundle to him, create a note. My kids will inherit a note because they don't want the rental. So that's the actual exit strategy. But here's the thing that could make me sell. Not net worth. What happens to rents? So since they've been started to be tracked in 1940, there's never been a 5-year period where rents ever went down, stayed down. They've always gone up. You can Google it. There's plenty of charts out there that show you historical rent data. If they flatlined long enough, maybe 15 years without a single chance to increase. Section 8 kept going down, basic allowance for housing kept going down, building kept going, and they were just flatlined for 15 years to where insurance, property taxes, and cost of labor and materials went up so much that my $21,000 a month in profit became zero, because it would take probably decades of no increases to do that. Then I might look at the net worth and go, what would it take to get rid of these? And right. So I have an exit strategy planned, and the number that matters to me is rents, not net worth.
Yeah, I think that exit strategy is something that Olivia and I look forward to doing as well, as creating seller notes on a collection of assets. Because again, right, we'll sell a little bit for cash, we'll sell some to get income, and then hopefully we'll 1031 out of others into nicer, newer stuff, so that the end pile is less complex, and the average age is not 70 years, it's 20 years or something like that. So I think that's all good. But at the end of the day, it's a fun mental exercise, because again, a lot of people out there think net worth and they're like, hey, $1 million, $3 million, $5 million is the number. I do like that. Obviously in real estate, we look at other factors. I just thought this was a fun conversation. Dion, where can people find you?
They can find me right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom, where I do live streams every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And the reason I think this exercise is so important is for anybody watching who's a gamer. I know that's not you guys. You have lives and wives. So as a gamer, when you start a new game, we usually research what is the end going to look like, because I want to know the best way to end the game. That determines my path to get there. Real estate's much the same.
Very, very cool. And the Lumberjack?
Live streams Thursday nights, 9 p.m. We're going to do a huge Eastern time. We're going to do a big video this week. I think it's going to be this afternoon, actually, where we go and walk the community house and everyone gets to see all the progress there in the last 2 weeks. I promised it would be a big 2 weeks. It's been a big 2 weeks. So we're excited to share that with folks. But yeah, I think that the time in the market and not timing the market, back to our old adage, that's the most important thing. Because if you're 5 years in, I got bad news. You probably don't have a whole lot there yet. But take heart, in 5 more, you will.
Yeah.
So.
That trickle in the very beginning is hard to see and for many inconsequential, but damn, that comes into a stream and then a raging river. It does happen. You just have to keep going.
Agreed.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.